So yes, we're here today to review Venom about 3 or 4 weeks after it came out, and we've only just got around.
Yeah, we're striking while the iron is hot, and the film's like fresh in the cinemas.
Exactly. So no, this is for everybody who was wondering what we thought of it, because there were a few people asking.
To be
It was
honest,
okay.
we weren't going to bother, were we, to begin with?
No, it was literally because we just happened to have a day off and looking for something to do. So there you go. But
That's certainly helping that View cinemas have started doing like films for £5.
Yeah, well, that's part of the thing, isn't it? It gets people in, so it works.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, pretty much what the reviewers were all saying, I felt very much the same way.
I think in some ways I'd challenge the whole like, oh, Tom Hardy doesn't know what kind of film he's in, and he's like being Jim Carrey and Liar Liar. I think that was a bit much, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that was kind of a simplified version of reviewing it. I wouldn't agree with the people that said that, but it was more the fact that I think what like some of the reviewers had said, it's like a lot of the progress that the superhero genre has made in the last sort of 10 or so years, this film seems to have forgotten that and just gone back to sort of an early 2000s way of making superhero films. And obviously it does just suck in general that it doesn't have Spider-Man in. You don't even need to see the film really to know about all that.
Venom does look a little bit weird without the kind of spider motif on his chest. I mean, I get why he doesn't have it because there's no connection here, but it is a little bit just weird seeing that.
Yeah, it'd be like doing some kind of adaptation of like the Die Hard franchise, and it's a film about a load of teenagers that go on holiday together or something. It's like, how is it even the story that it's based on, but you just happen to have a John McClane thrown in there somewhere. It's kind of, because somebody actually said to me today, I don't really, well, they'd even seen the film and they said, I don't really know anything about the source material, but I thought the film was pretty good. And I said, it doesn't really matter about the source material whether you know or not, because it's got jack all to do with it pretty much.
Yeah.
It's just a generic, it is what it is kind of film, just happens to be called Venom and has some of the same sort of traits. But beyond that, I did still enjoy it. I mean, we sometimes say, we want these films to all be part of the same universe, but I think sometimes it is good just to have films that aren't connected, because then I guess they can do their own.
I mean, I'm certainly not like bothered by this being its own thing. It's not like, oh man, this needed to be part of the MCU. Like, why the hell is this on its own? It's like, I could take this film or leave it.
Yeah. But at least connect it to Spider-Man.
From here on out is canon with the MCU. I'll be like, no, okay, fine. And if it was like, yeah, Venom is never going to be canon with the MCU, like, yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It felt to me like it was that smaller scale of a movie.
Yeah.
I could buy that it was set in the MCU, because the question usually is, well, where are all the Avengers when all this is happening? But it seems to me like it's that small scale. It's not like
just to add one little thing to what you say. It's not like the Marvel Netflix where it's like very street level. This is like a world-ending threat technically, but it's also like really focused in on it's almost like Ant-Man in that way. It's like really focused in on like one little area. It's like, well, nobody else would even know about this whole fight for like the pin like particles and stuff. So of course, no Avengers are going to get involved. It's like, if this had gone to plan, it could have been a world-ending threat. So bringing like symbiotes to Earth, like devour anything. At which point, it would have been an Avengers threat. It just never got that far.
Yeah, and a lot of the things that happen in it in terms of like action, it's up till the very end, it's very small scale. So I guess they would say, well, they haven't dispatched any of the Avengers to this place. Plus, as well, I guess with the Sokovia Accords going on, I guess that kind of slows any kind of first responses down. You could sort of make that argument.
Well, so everything seems to go down over the course of a night, and this is all set in San Francisco, I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, like Venom on a rampage is pretty much over one night, maybe into the following day.
Exactly.
It's not like this is over the course of a week and there's been multiple appearances by Venom and anything like that.
Yeah, so from that angle, I could kind of get on board if they decided to do that, but I don't think they will. But from what I understand, it was quite financially successful. I think it held the #1 spot for a couple of weeks in America domestically, which is
I
usually what
know
they
there
go
was
on.
a very stupid thing that was going on with fans of Lady Gaga because there was some like biopic thing of hers come out, like some film,
Yeah.
who were downvoting it like really heavily and like slating it because they were pissed it was coming out at the same time. It's like, how dumb can you be? Like, these are not going to have the same fucking audiences. This is not cutting into your box office. Like, what the hell?
Now, come on, you wanted to go see that film, and I talked you into going to see Venom.
Ah, 4 weeks after they'd both been out.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. But no, like I say, beyond that, the filming in itself is fairly enjoyable. I'd say it's average enough. The best thing I can say about it is that I don't have anything bad to say, but the worst thing I can say about it is that I don't have anything good to say. So kind of middle of the road, really.
Yeah, also people have mentioned like, oh, well, I don't really know much about like the Venom characters. Like, you don't really need to because this goes entirely its own way. I mean, beyond like it's Venom, it's a symbiote from outer space. There's no other real connective tissue, if you get what I'm saying there.
Yeah, it kind of makes it a bit like that Life film, that one with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I mean, if that had turned into like a symbiote thing rather than turning into like a weird space, whatever the hell it was, lobster thing, if that had started bonding people to, being a black suit, it'd have been just as much a Venom film as this was.
Yeah, that would have been kind of cool if they'd have done that by stealth. But
Yeah,
but yeah,
I
again,
mean,
the other
the plot is when you mention it is kind of similar because it's like science going on in outer space, stumbles across these symbiotes, like brings them back to Earth, and that's
yeah,
when like shit kicks off.
I mean, one thing I was going to say about this as well is the CGI in it. There's some bits that look adequate, but I think there are some bits in it where it's not these bad CGI. It's just it falls into that trap like you have with the Transformers movies, where it's just this swirling maelstrom of just of well, in Transformers, it's like mechanical parts, but in this, it's more the sort of black, sort of liquid thing. When he fights another one that's very similar to him, and it's kind of swirling around, you
Yeah,
can't see what's going on. It's like
I
I
mean,
wish
from a
this.
little bit of research, the symbiote he fights and the whole Life Foundation thing, that is actually taken from like a Venom plotline or a Spider-Man plotline, rather. But yeah, I'm not sure why they started with this.
But like you say, if they're bringing Carnage into it, that's basically the
Yeah,
same kind of confrontational premise, where you've just got evil symbiote character versus lesser evil symbiote character or whatever.
yeah. I mean, that was kind of part of the. I don't know how to say, like, there was the progression. It was like it starts this way and then slowly escalates. You've got like Venom, who's like a big step up from what Spider-Man could do at the time. He's stronger, he's faster, he's immune to his like spider sense. And then you've got Carnage, who's this whole extra level. He can like, I mean, Venom in the comics is basically like a big bruiser. He heals really fast. He can stretch his limbs out a bit. He can kind of do claws, but he can't exactly do all the other stuff like the blades and all this other kind of like weird shit Carnage does. Because the character of Carnage is insane. He can just like go in that extra level that a sane mind can't.
Yeah. And of course, a lot of the people that have seen this are familiar with Venom from the Spider-Man animated series, and also from the '90s, and also Spider-Man 3, which was a lot more loyal to the source material, but it wasn't a very good film. And you know who played Eddie Brock in Spider-Man 3? The Topher,
Grace.
Topher Grace. Now some
Bloody
of the
tough.
supporting that involved some liquid flying into people's faces as well, but it wasn't a symbiote. It was Buff that was on the receiving end of it. But a separate issue anyway. So yeah, but some of the supporting actors in this were okay. One thing that a lot of people criticizing was the chemistry between Tom Hardy's character and the Michelle Williams character just being just kind of non-existent. There was no sort of chemistry there, and I kind of felt that as well. I mean, yeah, fair enough, they were supposed to have split up, but I wasn't feeling it.
I mean, I don't think there was anything about the performances that really like pissed me off or anything.
Yeah, some of the bits in fact, that was kind of something that I read today, looking back on the early reviews, when the reviews first came out, and obviously having not seen the film, you didn't really see exactly what they were talking about. Because somebody had said something along the lines of, there were a couple of moments in this that made me laugh out loud, and I don't know if that was supposed to have that effect or not. And I can see which bits they were now. Like the bit where Tom Hardy looks in the mirror for the first time and sees the sort of Venom thing, and well, it's kind of in flux. And then
he's like, oh.
Yeah, and he like dives back and goes, oh, and like goes into the bath. That bit was actually really funny. There were some bits that were obviously supposed to be funny, like the bit where Venom's telling him to like jump out the building and go outside of it, and he takes the elevator, and he just goes,
Venom's just there going, pussy.
Yeah, that was pretty good. But that was the highlight of the film, and it was decent as well. The stuff between Venom and Eddie Brock, that was handled very well. And of course, having Tom Hardy in that performance was definitely a benefit from that. But as a big like hardcore Tom Hardy fan, it's embarrassing to see him in this. It was kind of like that. What was it called? This Means War film.
Yeah.
It's nothing against him. That's kind of the point. It's like he's really doing this performance that it's kind of like watching Robert De Niro in some of his like more recent films from the past sort of 10, 20 years. They've been fucking embarrassing. Seeing a guy who's in like Godfather Part 2 doing these like stupid roles in films. I mean, some of them have been all right, like the Robert De Niro ones, like Meet the Parents and stuff like that. He was good in it, and the films were okay, but some other stuff pretty terrible. And Tom Hardy hasn't really been putting that many films out in the last sort of 2, 3, 4 years, kind of thing.
Yeah, because he does tend to appear in films that are something that he is interested in or something like that. So I'm kind of wondering what brought him to this, what attracted him to this role. I mean, is he a big fan of the character? Like, is he a friend of the director? It'd be kind of interesting to see, like, in an interview, like, what made him want to be Venom, because this isn't the sort of thing you normally do.
I suspect they sold him on this film being a bit more legitimate in the modern day standard of superhero movies than the end product was. Because I mean, if you look at the Marvel films, you've got actors like what's he called, Robert Redford, who was in like The Winter Soldier, and I know Al Pacino's been in talks to maybe appear in like a Marvel film as well at some point. And like really good like actors doing like decent performances in decent films, that aren't just sort of throwaway superhero movies in the kind of vein of the early 2000s, even the 90s, like Venom
that's
was.
what you were saying. If this film had come out in like mid to early 2000s, it'd have been a really good superhero film. The problem is it's come out, 2018, and we've seen a lot better.
Yeah,
the bar's been raised a good deal higher, and this has just kind of skated under it.
Yeah. So I suspect Tom Hardy, as a serious actor, maybe thought that there was not that the film itself was going to be serious. I mean, obviously it's Venom, but that they could do something with it that an adult who has an adult taste in movies can still enjoy it and say that was actually a good film.
I mean, to be honest, like something with alien symbiotes could be somewhere between a psychological thriller of "Am I going mad?" and something almost like The Thing or something, with the transformations and stuff. I could definitely see how you could do something quite gritty with it and, very kind of intense, while still keeping the kind of humor of the interplay between the two of them when they reach like an equilibrium.
Yeah. So I know that was the thought for the Fantastic Four movie that came out in 2015. That originally was kind of put out as being a kind of David Cronenberg style, not body horror film, but that going that way.
I
Spin
say
on.
it makes you wonder if that's the way these films were going, and then like somebody at the studio's been like, "What the fuck? You know, it's supposed to be really camp and like comic. It's supposed to be like those DC films. Like, what the fuck are you playing at?" Fuck's sakes.
I suspect that's the case as well, because I mean, this film really, a Venom film should be like the Deadpool movies, where it should be. I mean,
there's room for humour, but it should also be quite. I mean, they kind of play up for laughs that he's biting people's heads off and eating them and shit.
You never see
it's
it.
Like, that's what Venom does. Venom is not a nice like character.
Yeah. And it's kind of strange because from our point of view, being in the UK, it was a 15 certificate, which so was Deadpool. But in America, Deadpool is R-rated, whereas Venom was PG-13, from what I understand. It kind of translates to the UK. It's an opportunity to make it R-rated. And I guess they just wanted bums in seats, but I guess that's what they got because, like I say, the box office results have been pretty decent. So,
and apparently, you say Tom Hardy's like signed up for more. So,
yeah, I think he was signed up for quite a few of them, and with it being successful, they'll probably do more of them. And I can live with that, but I can also live with it if they didn't do any more.
Yeah, I mean, I hope if they do more, they kind of learn some of the lessons and like up the game a bit.
Yeah. But we'll see anyway. Better cut this short because don't want to keep this video too long. But yeah, that's the review anyway. So anything else to add?
I think by this point, most people will have seen it and formed their own opinions. They don't really need to tell if it's any good or not.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a few people that asked like what we thought of it. So it's tradition to do reviews on these things.
Yeah, okay. Nothing particularly noteworthily bad about it beyond like some slight CGI kind of especially in the final fight, which I have no idea why the hell it's doing that because that's not how Venom fights. He's more like almost the Hulk. He's like a big bruiser. He doesn't like turn into like a semi-liquid and try and like go around people and stuff. That's not really what Venom is.
I mean, Toph did that with Buff that time.
No,
became a liquid.
No.
And on that note, we'll leave it there. Sorry, Buff, if you're watching. Right. Anyway, right. Okay. So we'll leave it there and say thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.